Hello and welcome. My name is Jennifer Smith. I am the engagement director here at the Community Foundation. I know I should say we are recording this, so just know that we are recording because we want to be able to post it for those who couldn't attend live today. So you are here because you want to learn more about the Carroll Starr Endowment Challenge. And before we dive into what the challenge is all about, I thought it would be good to introduce you to who Carroll Starr was. Why does this program bear his name? So Mr. Starr was a prominent businessman in Rockford in the mid 20th century. He was partial owner of the first Ford motor car company. Oh, here comes someone else. I will wait. Very exciting. Here comes Aaron. Okay, so he was partial owner of the first Ford motor car dealership. He was a banker, a financial manager, and he was also, in his free time, a leading advocate for families. He served on the Family Welfare Service Board for 3 decades. He was head of the World War II United War Fund, which the balance of which actually became sort of the seed money for the Rockford Community Trust. There was about $13,000 left in that fund after the war ended and those needs were, had passed. And Mr. Starr and others who oversaw those funds decided that that should help start the Rockford Community Trust. He was one of 9 founding members of the National Committee on Community Foundations, and he was the founder and first permanent chairman of the Rockford Community Trust, now known as Community Foundation of Northern Illinois, until he died in 1963. And we have the benefit of having a lot of historical records, including pages and pages of minutes. Thank you to the secretaries of the 1950s who kept really excellent minutes of those first meetings when folks were deciding like what the Rockford Community Trust would be. And Mr. Starr is quoted throughout those. And this quote in particular, I thought really related to what the Carroll Starr Endowment Challenge is all about. So he stated that financial policy should be liberal enough, and he's talking about the financial policy of the Rockford Community Trust, should be liberal enough to allow for investment to bring a reasonable return, while at the same time having prudent administration. In other words, he visualized a dynamic working organization, both in the handling of funds and in allocation to civic betterment projects. And the others agreed that it would be possible to have a progressive investment policy and at the same time provide proper safeguards. And these were in the minutes of a trust establishment committee meeting at Hotel Faust in December of 1951. So based on that, this program bears his name. And I'll give like a really brief, really quick introduction to how endowment works, because that's what we are all about is endowment. The principle of an endow fund is invested, and we work with an independent investment firm called Marquette and Associates. They are located in Chicago, and we work with them to handle all of our investments. And all the funds here are pooled into one pool so that we get the maximum power, the leverage of those investments. And we invest for long-term growth. Yay, Darcy. Welcome. We invest for long-term growth. We're here for the long term. We are not looking for short-term gains. We are looking for long-term stable funding for the community. And we make distributions from all of the funds according to our spending policy, which we will talk about a little bit more later in the presentation. And so endowment is like the big umbrella, and underneath that are several different types of endowments, one of which is an agency endowment, and that's what we're talking about with this program here today. An agency endowment is established by a nonprofit for their own benefits. CFNIL makes distributions to the agency while preserving and growing the principal. Agency endowments are irrevocable transfers. So that means once that you have established the fund and transferred the dollars here, the funds stay here forever. You can't take them out. However, there is good news. They remain an asset on your balance sheet. And the really good news about that is they're an asset for you, not a liability. They're both for us, but they're an asset for you. So that's a very good thing. Agency endowments support your long-term planning because they are stable and sustainable. We never spend the principal. You can count on those funds being there and that distribution coming year after year. They can make a surplus last a lifetime. If you have an unexpected windfall, either in an operating surplus, which, right, we all hope that we have those, but, or maybe you get a really unexpected gift, or for whatever reason, you have a surplus. Putting that into an endowment means that that surplus can last forever. The principal is there forever. If you weren't counting on using that, make it last forever. It can be an inspiration to donors, and that third bullet in that fifth bullet, I should put them in a different order, but anyway, it really can inspire donors to give, to have a new way to give to your organization. And in particular for bequests or estate gifts, end of life gifts, like those bigger things, those bigger chunks that folks are planning to leave a legacy, an endowment can be a really attractive way to give. Folks they're thinking about a way that they want to give long term. They want to make a deep impact for forever. In perpetuity is the phrase we like to use a lot. It's a good way to do that. And there you go. There's that word, perpetual, perpetuity. Create a perpetual reservoir of funding for your organization. So the Carroll Starr Endowment in particular, it's an opportunity for you to build an endowment with help from us. We've offered the challenge 9 times. This is the 10th since the program started in 2001. And it is a competitive process. There are not unlimited funds available. So you should know that it is competitive. Since 2001, the first time we offered the challenge, we've contributed more than $1 million to challenge grantees. And collectively, those funds, between the dollars that we've matched and the nonprofit agency transfer into the principal, those funds are now worth more than $4.5 million. Should you be accepted into challenge number 10, you are in good company. You see the logos of organizations from across our region who have participated in past challenges and have existing endowments here at the Community Foundation. And I'm sure you will recognize most, if not all, of those names. So know that they are committed to endowment just as we are, and it is our privilege to steward their endowments and to ensure that they have strong operating reserves for forever, for years and years and generations to come. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of what the challenge does. In challenge 10, this challenge, you will set your own fundraising goal between $15,000 and $90,000. You have 17 months to complete the challenge after you're accepted. We're going to announce those who have been accepted into the challenge in August of this year. You'll have the remainder of this calendar year and all of 2023. If you are selected and you reach your fundraising goal, CFNIL will match $1 for every 3 that you have raised. And what that looks like in math terms, so if you set a goal of $15,000 and you reach it, we will match $5,000. So your endowment will have a total of $20,000. Or if you want to hit the maximum end of that range and you raise $90,000, we will match 30 for an endowment total of $120,000. And what that looks like, remember I mentioned a spending policy earlier in the presentation. So our spending policy is currently that we distribute 4% of the rolling average. Okay, here's where the math part comes in. Rolling average of 12 quarter end balances for your fund. So every year, 4% of the balance, going back 12 quarters, those averages, is distributed. Okay, so if you have a $20,000 endowment, that means $800 a year. For an $120,000 endowment, that's $4,800 a year, approximately. And the reason it's important for us to tell you about and the reason we do a 12 quarter end balances is because that really evens out the distributions, it evens out the changes in the market. As we know, the market goes up and down, sometimes very dramatically, sometimes it's just a little bit bumpy, but we have seen it go up and down a lot in the past year. Using the average helps even that out. So you can really count on what the distribution is going to look like. That of what we call ATG, available to grants, that's calculated on March 31st of each year. I put a little asterisk there because there is a chance that that might change, but Typically, it's calculated on March 31st, and what that means is the check would be cut in summer. We hope to hit it in July. This year, we're really pushing to get it out in June, but just so you know, that's kind of what the timing, how the timing falls for when the checks will come. Okay, so you, the nonprofit, raise funds to meet your goal. You acknowledge the donations. These are your donors, not ours, and I want to be really explicit about that. We believe that they are your donors that are giving to your endowment. And you accumulate those donations and then transfer them to your account here. And you can do that if you choose to save up all the donations over that 17 months and just send one big check for the total amount at the end. Or you could break it up into a few smaller checks if you would like. But we do ask that you accept the donations, and maybe don't send us $10 in an envelope, every time you get that. It's just smarter for your sake and more efficient for us too, to get those in like bigger pieces. So, but you can ask questions about that later if you would like. Let's see. Oh, and yes, we settled that. Okay, the Community Foundation deposits the match, $1 for every 3, into your endowment upon successful completion of the challenge. And once your endowment is established, you will receive from us quarterly financial statements that show both the investment performance and any in and out if you get additional donations or when the the distribution is paid out every year. You'll get an annual distribution letter letting you know how much is coming to you. And you will receive access to an online fund advisor portal, which is pretty new to us. We have a relatively new financial software system that gives us this online portal capability, and that means you can log in at any time and see where your fund sits and keep track of all of that. Not have to keep track of paper statements. It's all there. You can decide year to year if you would like to receive the distribution or if you want to leave them in the pool, leave them in the principal to help your endowment grow even faster. If you have applied to Carroll Starr Challenge in the past, you may reapply. If you have been a part of the challenge in the past, you can reapply. But we should let you know that new applicants and organizations which have not participated in past challenges will be given preference. But that shouldn't stop you if you've participated or applied in the past from applying again. The application itself is fairly straightforward. And if you've participated in our community grants, it is much shorter than that. So there are some sections that will look familiar to you, such as the organizational information and organization finances. We will also ask about your service population. The section that's really unique to this application is the endowment status, strategy, and vision. And then you will sign in an agreement at the end. So when you get ready to apply on our website, this is what the Carroll Starr Endowment Challenge webpage looks like. But you should know on every page of our website at the top, you see that apply for a grant button. That's how you get to our online grant portal. And you just click that little guy and it takes you to the login page here, which gives you directions if you've never applied for a grant through us before, how to do that, or if you are familiar with this, where to log in. Once you get to your dashboard, you'll see that apply button up at the top, and the application is open right now, so you can go look at it if you would like. And then you'll see there the Carroll Starr Endowment Challenge X10X 2022, and you click the blue apply button. And once you have done that, you'll see this button up at the top that says copy previous answers. There are some fields, some questions that if you've applied to us before, particularly for community grants, you'll be able to copy answers about your organizational history. I think some of the financial information and things like that, James can clarify a little later if you have specific questions about that. But if a question is the same as on a different application, you can just copy, which is nice. That saves you some time there. So talking about the endowment vision section, this is the most important section of this application because obviously this program is all about endowment. So we want to know where you see endowment in the strategy of your organization and how you anticipate you are going to raise the money to meet this goal. So we ask you to estimate the percentage of your goal that will come from all of these different sources. It's okay if you don't have all of them. It's okay if you just have one. It's awesome if you have them all. That's great. Hopefully these are all fairly straightforward. If you have questions about them, feel free to ask at the end, but we really do want to understand like how you see yourself meeting this goal and understand where your organization is in terms of other existing endowments and things like that. It's okay if you don't have an existing endowment, that's totally fine, but it just helps us understand where your organization is in relation to endowment. A committee will be scoring your application. This committee is made up of volunteers from the community, and they will score based on your finances, take a look at your finances, your service population, your vision for endowment, and as we said earlier, new applications or organizations which have not previously participated will be given preference. It's not guaranteed that they will get it, but they are looked at a little more, they're given a little more preference. And this is the timeline. The application is open right now. It closes on June 30th at 5 p.m. In July, a committee will review the applications. August 1st, we will notify based on the status whether you have been accepted or not into Carroll Starr Endowment Challenge 10. And then after you've gotten that notification, if you've been accepted, we will have you come in. I think we'll have you come in. We haven't exactly talked through whether you'll be coming in person. I think in person makes the most sense to come in and sign the fund agreement and a grant agreement, and the challenge begins. And then you are fundraising between then and the end of December 2023. Now, if you finish before then, awesome, that's great, fantastic. So you don't have to take the whole 17 months. But we want to give you a reasonable amount of time to raise the amount of funds that you're going for. And with that, I would take any questions, or if my colleagues who are on the call have anything else they want to add, they are welcome to.
I have a question.
Hi, go right ahead.
Are there any 501c3 types that don't qualify for this?
That's a great question. And I'm going to let James and or Sarah answer that.
So yeah, no 501c3 types are not qualified. So anyone that's under that banner is qualified. So that does not include like a 501c4, for an example, a membership organization, or a 501c13, which would be like a nonprofit cemetery as an example. But if you are qualified as a 501c3, any of the various subdivisions under there are eligible.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
I should have also said, I realize that, so we're looking at nonprofits in our service area, and our service area is 4 counties: Ogle, Boone, Stevenson, and Winnebago. So I should have also said that, I'm sorry. Any other questions? All right, my colleagues, did I miss anything?
Jennifer, I think you killed them with clarity here.
Wow, and in 20 minutes, holy cow.
Of course, they know that they can call you if they do have questions.
Yes, you absolutely can call us. There are lots of us on the Zoom right now, and all of our contact information is on the website. I do encourage you to go and check out that Carroll Starr Endowment page, which the link to that is on the page where you registered for this webinar, and as well as in the email that was advertising it. So anyway, you'll find that on our website. And yeah, but yeah, if you have any questions along the way, please do not hesitate to reach out.
Is this PowerPoint available to us to share with our board?
Sure, yes, we would be happy to include the slides. We will send out the recording, a link to the recording, as well as the slides. Yep.
Thank you.
You bet. And they will both also be posted on that Carroll Starr Endowment webpage once they're ready. We'll have it all the places. So, cool. Okay, well, if you have any other questions,
I have a question.
James. Yeah.
So what happens if I participate in the challenge and for some reason I don't meet my goal, my fundraising goal, what happens then?
Oh, that's such a good question, James. So we're going to ask you to get in touch with us and let's discuss what happened when you didn't make the challenge. There is a chance, not always a guarantee, but a chance that we might be able to match what you have raised. If you have raised nothing and you just need to back out, we're not going to hold it against you. We understand things happen, but please communicate with us. Oh, and James, thank you. You also led me into another question. We're going to have periodic check-ins during that 17 months. Yes, the check-ins, just to see how you're doing, because since you're not sending every donation here as you receive it, sometimes we don't know. We wouldn't hear from you until December of 2023, and that's too long for us to wait to see how you're doing. So we will be checking in with you to see how your progress is going, which is less about us like hovering over you like an angry parent, and more just like wondering how we can help. Yeah, really, we want you to be successful. We believe in endowment, and so we want you to have success and do the best that you can. So, does that answer your question, James?
It does. Wonderfully.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, if you do have any other questions burning in your mind, feel free to hang out here. I'll hang out here for a few minutes, but otherwise, please reach out. And if, while the application is open, something comes up, and we wish you great success with your application. And thank you. Have a good day.